Happy Friday, my audacious Alubers! Today we are bringing you the greatest structure deck, the branded new Despia deck profile.
Not only is the structure deck brand new, but it is definitely game changing. This is easily a tier 1 meta deck, and moving into the upcoming format, this is definitely one of the top contenders that you should keep your eye out for.
This deck's full potential has been a long time coming, and with some much needed reprints in the very near horizon, we're really excited to see this deck in action, and it's going to be everywhere, so you also need to know what it does. And with that being said, we will also be doing a full combo tutorial and test hunt at the end of this video if you want to A, know how to play against the deck, and B, just know how to play it itself and see the actual ceiling with a 5-card test hand. So with all that being said, make sure you subscribe, join the sub squad, leave a comment in the comment section down below letting us know what you think of the deck, your version of the deck, and any other deck profiles you'd like us to cover this format, as well as hitting the notification bell and liking the video because the algorithm really needs your help. And with all that out of the way, let's talk about some cardboard.
So starting off, we are on triple copies of Aluber, the Jester of Despia.
Aluber! It's finally time to shine, bud. Your deck doesn't suck anymore.
On normal or special summon, this card can add a branded spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. I'd like to point out that that is normal or special summon. We're just keep that in mind for later on in the profile.
I'm really excited to see what Aluber will look like when he has an ultra printing, because I feel like the secret rare kind of like muddles up the art, but my god, there's a handsome man behind all that. Team, stay tuned. I'll be showing it off later in the video. Absolute stud muffin, whole unit, top 3, all gas, no brakes.
And then moving on for the remainder of our Despia cards, we are on double copies of our Despian Tragedy, and
Jesus,
then
it's hideous.
one copy of our Ad Libitum.
What is this thing? It's like a...
It is.
Oh,
it's like a weird
God.
little clown-looking thing.
But it's got like the little collar thing. This is
yeah,
terrifying.
I don't know what this is. I don't think this actually has a face. Maybe I'm incorrect. I think it's like a mask, but...
It's a tragedy. He's got no face.
This card has 2 really relevant effects, though. If this card is sent to the graveyard or banished by card effect, you can add a Despia monster from your deck to your hand. The card that you are typically adding is the Ad Libitum, or if you really want, you can add your Aluber from your deck to your hand as well, and then it has a secondary effect where if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish it and add a branded spell or trap card from your graveyard and set it back to your field.
All these cards have like really whack effects that just like create chains and do their own thing. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And then we are playing the 1 copy of Ad Libitum because it is the main part of your combo. Hopefully you will see that in the test hand section, so stay tuned for that. But its effect is that if this card in the hand or on the field is used as fusion material and sent to the graveyard or banished, you could target a Despia monster or a level 8 or higher fusion monster that is banished or in your graveyard, special summon it. That is very pivotal to your combo. And the fact that this card is just searchable off of your Despian Tragedy is ridiculous.
Also low-key, I know I keep talking, I'm sorry, but I just think Ad Libitum has like one of the coolest arts in the freaking game. Like, I think this is Dogmatica Ashian, correct me if I'm wrong, comment section, but this card is gorgeous. Like, you really looked at this card? God, these things are so...
It looks like a mixture of like Edward Scissorhands meets like something from Stranger Things.
Yo, I love that. That's my aesthetic for this year, kids.
And then we are on double copies of Fallen of Albaz. Now we are playing double copies of Fallen of Albaz because similar to Eldritch, even though you really only need 1 copy of this card, you do have to have it as an engine requirement, and if your opponent like Called by the Graves it or just takes this card out of circulation, your whole deck and engine's kind of offline, so it's a little bit more safe to have 2 than 1.
If this card is normal or special summoned, golly, that's a trend in this deck. You can discard a card cost, fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters on either field as fusion material, including this card, but you cannot use other monsters you control as fusion material. Sounds like Super Poly the card.
This is literally Super Poly on summon. This card is ridiculous. And then moving off to everyone's favorite budget portion of the deck, we are on triple copies of Water Enchantress,
Aquaria,
the 1 copy of our Wandering Griffin Rider, 3 copies of Rite of Aramasir, 1 copy of Fateful Avenger, aka Ghost Ogre's favorite card in the game, 1 copy of Dracoback, and then obviously the 1 copy of Foolish Burial, the 4th copy of Water Enchantress, or it does allow you to send your Despian Tragedy to the graveyard as well. Search your Aluber and get your play started also.
Now, you don't need to play the Brave Engine. Obviously, we can't expect everyone to shell out however much money this dumpster fire is just to play it and have it be, you know, somewhat more viable. You can play other things. There are plenty more meta viable options you can use in this deck. This is just the version of the deck we chose because we think it is definitely the strongest and has the highest ceiling. So with that being said, if you want any more advice on what you could play instead, feel free to check out the Patreon. Links in the description box down below. We'd love to help you. But if not, just know that there are other options. You do not have to play this engine.
And then moving off for more fair and balanced cards, we are on double copy of Fusion Destiny, and then obviously the 1 copy of our Destiny Hero Dasher.
And then Pot of Greed.
Yeah, Pot of Greed.
And Pot of Greed, the guy.
So in building and playing this deck, I will say that this kind of just feels like a revamp of like last format, even though last format was like last week in the YCS, but it just feels like a more concise pile deck, right? You have your fusion engine, you have your Albaz engine, you have your hand traps, which we will get to shortly, you have your DPE engine, you have the Brave engine. Like, it's just a really concise 40 card pile deck. Everything just has synergy, and I think that that's kind of why we are very much looking forward to a ban list, because oh my god, is everything just a little too generic right now.
And like last week's format essentially was like the Link Synchro DPE, the Link Row kind of format, but now we've moved into the fusion format, which is, well, all purple cards. So it's very different. It's like crazy how a week can change everything, but now we've moved from the Links and Synchros into a very fusion heavy format. So it's just one dumpster fire to another. It's great. I love the 7th layer. Now, you know it's a really healthy format when we have to play triple copies of Ash Blossom, triple copies of Ghost Ogre, and triple copies of Baby Girl Ghost Belle. Yeah, guys, do you see this? We're playing alt arts. I know you don't usually see these in our profiles, which means that, you know, this format's really fun. Because
shout out to Logan Straight Line.
You know what? I swear I'm right-handed, but for some reason I'm using my left hand. Just work with it. But like, this really goes to show for anyone who's watched our profiles, like, when a format requires so many hand traps in literally every deck you play, like, we're kind of wearing thin on hand traps. So shout out to the alt arts. I will never play the Feet Ash. It's just god awful. But you know what? Ghost Belle looks really nice as an alt art. Ogre is an absolute atrocity. I think this thing is hideous. Let me know in the comment section what your favorite alt art Ghost Girl is. Obviously there are others, but I personally love Ghost Belle. Brian loves Ghost Belle.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's actually Ghost Mourner.
Oh yeah, where she's looking into the pond.
Yeah, she's like a little pond.
Oh yeah, that's Pond Bay. And then Call by the Grave, because it's, you know, whatever.
And then for what makes this deck absolutely insane is triple copies of Branded Fusion, triple copies of Branded Opening, and then double copies of Branded in Red.
Pro tip. Belle the Branded in Red. You will thank me later, sweetie pie.
And why can you do that? Because Branded in Red says target a Despia or Fallen of Albaz monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, then you can apply this effect. Belle stops adding back from the graveyard to hand. So if you can't add back, you can't apply the following effect. And the following effect is Fusion Summon Guardian Chimera. That's basically what this card says.
And then we're playing 3 copies of Branded Opening. Why? Because we are playing the Brave engine in this version of the deck, and you obviously cannot be normal summoning and activating your Aluber, so this helps you play around that because you can special summon the Aluber and it still triggers. Speaking of gorgeous men on cards, oh man, funny you ask, Shrek is just a gift from God. Has anyone ever looked at this man? This side profile is all we ever get. Shout out to Tri Brigade Oath. One day we'll get his full face, but man, he's a hunk of burning love. Speaking of love, we absolutely hate this godforsaken card. Branded Fusion literally says, fusion summon anything from the moon, the sky, and everything in your heart. That's terrible.
Yeah, this card is literally Shadow Fusion on steroids. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material from your extra deck using 2 monsters from your hand, deck, or field. You opened your bricks, doesn't matter. You literally just get to fuse anywhere, and it doesn't require your opponent to do anything. The only restriction is that you can only fusion summon monsters from your extra deck the turn you activate this card, but yeah, we're gonna get to the extra deck and you're gonna see why that's not really a problem. For the extra deck, real quick, we are playing the 1 copy of Link Spider and then the 1 copy of Predaplanet Verte Anaconda. You don't really make this often. This is more like a turn 2 play. However, we are playing the Adventurer token stuff, so if you do want to make your Verte Anaconda to get to your, wow, I can't believe we're playing DPE. Just kidding, yes I can.
Wow,
Every deck is playing this.
It's not butter, it's DPE.
Your token could just become Link Spider, your Griffin, and your Link Spider can then just become Verte, and then Verte just becomes DPE. We all know how this works. And then we are playing the 1 copy of our Starving Venom Fusion Dragon.
Now, golly gee, I'm sure you're wondering, wait, why are you playing Starving Venom? How are you getting to Starving Venom? There's no Super Poly in your main deck, Logan. What are you doing? We have a side deck. I know you guys forget about those 15 cards sometimes, but we're playing a side deck. It's great. You can find it on Patreon. Wow, golly, I'm the plug for this video, aren't I?
And then for the newer cards, we are playing double copies of our Lubellion, double copies of our Mirror Jade, and then double copies of Albion.
I'll be honest, this deck is a nightmare to play against. Thanks for laughing, Bri.
Lubellion has the amazing effect where if this card is fusion summoned, you can discard 1 card and then fusion summon a level 8 or lower fusion monster by shuffling fusion materials mentioned from it into your deck from either your monsters on the field, graveyard, and or face up banished. And then what you're making with that is your Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade says, quick effect, you can send 1 fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material, banish 1 monster on the field. Also, this card cannot use this effect. If this leaves the field, you can reactivate that that effect, send from your extra deck again, and re-banish a card. And then it also has the broken effect because, you know, why would Yu-Gi-Oh cards only have one really good effect? Where if this card in its owner's possession leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls during the end phase of this turn.
Oh man, Absolute Zero is crying in a corner somewhere because he just got a better version that, you know, people will actually play.
And then Albion is typically what you are sending off your Mirror Jade, because if this card is in your graveyard during the end phase of this turn and was sent there, you can add to your hand or set one branded spell or trap card directly from your deck.
Yeah, that seems totally balanced and fair.
Allowing you to make Guardian Chimera on your opponent's turn. Speaking of which, Guardian Chimera. This card says it must first be fusion summoned using only fusion materials from your hand or field with at least one monster from each. So good to note, you cannot make this with Super Poly. Typically, this card is drawing you 2 cards and popping 1 card.
Man, you know what this card can't out to save its life? Sword Soul Sovereign Chen Ying. Yeah, they can't get over it. It's hilarious. You can't destroy it. It gets big. Sucks to be you. Be a Sword Soul player.
And then moving off, I do think this is something that not a lot of players are choosing to do, especially when you're not playing the Dogmatica package, but we are playing double copies of Titaniclad the Ash Dragon. Now, the reason that I really like this card is because obviously if this card is sent to the graveyard during the end phase of that turn, this special summons Fallen of Albaz directly from your deck. And then obviously Fallen of Albaz has the effect where if it is special summoned, you can discard a card and fuse with your opponent's board. The reason we're playing 2 of this is because this requires Fallen of Albaz in 1 monster with 2,500 or more attack. You can literally just send this, grab Fallen of Albaz, and then if your opponent has anything left on the board it's pretty big, you can just eat it up, make the second one, and then just push for game on your follow-up.
Yum, 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 yum.
And then for the last 2 cards in our extra deck, we are on the 1 copy of Masquerade the Blazing Dragon.
That's just chain energy.
And then the 1 copy of Despian. I'm gonna be honest, I cannot pronounce this card's name.
Proskinian.
This guy. Masquerade Dragon, as Logan said, is literally just a burn card where if your opponent were to activate any card effects, they have to pay 600 life points to do so. And then if your opponent does out this card and your opponent has basically anything from their extra deck on the field, you can quick effect special summon this card but banish it once it leaves the field. So it does bring itself back. A lot of decks are opting to play 2 of this card. I don't think it's necessary in this specific variant, but it does come up enough to warrant the 1 copy.
Oh, cool. Special summon Baxia, shuffle back in the deck. Have fun with those effects, baby.
Can you guys tell that Logan really just bodied this deck at locals all day today?
Yeah, this is just Sword Soul propaganda. Please play Sword Soul. I love you. If you want an updated Sword Soul list, please say Logang Sword Soul, please. Thank you. That's a snake.
It's also a really relevant effect because during the main phase, quick effect, you can target a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, or special summon it to your side of the field. This is literally a quick effect DD Crow / Shark Cannon.
And then last but not least, I know you think there were 15 cards in the extra deck. There weren't. Don't worry. You miscounted. You gotta go back and count. And the last card, the most important card playing this entire deck, is our adventure token. I know, it doesn't look like the Brave Engine or the Water Lady, but you know, it is the most important card we could be playing. It's also the most attractive card I've ever seen printed onto a Yu-Gi-Oh card, minus Shireg and Avermax. He's got flavor text. You want me to read it? The thing separated from the abyss. It mocked the light and deceived the darkness. Lead me into the dark, baby. I love you. This is it. That's it. Anyway, let's talk about the combo, shall we? Alright team, welcome to the combo tutorial section of the video. We always like to do a random 5-card test hand to show you guys the actual viable ceiling of the deck, where it can go with any 5 cards, and just give everyone a good idea of, you know, how this deck actually plays, whether you're trying to learn it or trying to play against it. So with that being said, we're going to shuffle this puppy up, draw 5 cards, and see what we can do.
Alright, give it a couple of these. Alright,
my darling Despias, I hope you're subscribed and catch us tonight on stream at twitch.tv/crushcards.
Alright, we'll start off with, wow, I mean,
that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. A Luber, also very good.
That's insane.
Foolish Burial.
Wow, you're just playing, aren't you?
Alright. Branded in red. Okay, this is actually like low-key really insane.
I mean, yeah.
I literally don't think we need to play the Adventure Engine on this specific turn, which is why I think it is actually optimal to play 3 copies of Aluber, because if you do draw hands like this, you are put in the choice where you can make either or, and I think in this specific spot, because we have Called By, we also have Branded in red, plus Fusion Destiny, plus Foolish Burial, we're just going to take our Aluber and we are going to normal summon our Aluber and activate the effect on summon. This is going to just search our copy of Branded Fusion fusion. Once again, we do have Called By, but if they did have any other interruption, we also have Foolish Burial to send our Despian Tragedy to the graveyard to continually play as well. So obviously we're just going to do the typical play here, which is activate Branded Fusion.
Oh man, big skill here.
This is going to send our Fallen of Albaz and our Despian Tragedy to fusion summon our copy of Lubellion the Searing Dragon. Now we're going to activate the Lubellion, and then we're going to go chain link to Tragedy. In order to activate the Lubellion, you do have to discard a card. We're going to literally just search this at the end of the turn, so it's not a huge deal if we lose this. So we will discard Branded in red. Tragedy will search our Ad Libitum, and then Lubellion resolves, shuffling itself and our Fallen of Albaz to fusion summon our Mirror Jade the Ice Blade Dragon.
How many of you guys have called this the Ice Jade Dragon?
I do all the
Because
time.
it's like Mirror Jade. Why did they do that? Why?
Now we can activate the Mirror Jade Dragon, and we will banish the Aluber here and send to the graveyard our Albion the Branded Dragon. Now we can, if we want to continually keep playing, activate Foolish Burial. This will send our Water Enchantress from our deck to the graveyard. Setting us up for next turn, we can just banish the Water Enchantress, grab our copy of Right, and then activate the most skillful play in the world, which is hard draw and activate Fusion Destiny. And this will summon DPE to our side of the field. Now we're going to set our copy of Called By the Grave, and we're going to proceed to our end phase, where the Albion is going to trigger, setting a Branded in red from our deck straight to our side of the field, and we will just pass turn here.
I feel like in this deck in particular, on like its own turn, it doesn't seem like it's doing a whole lot, but then I feel like this deck really just plays on the opponent's turn.
What we're going to do here, obviously we have the DPE activation whenever we want. However, remember how we talked about how Mirror Jade is once per turn, and it has the clause where if you activate the effect, you can't activate it on the following turn? Well, how we're going to get around that is we are going to activate our Branded in red, target our copy of our Despian Tragedy. Ghost Spell? Just kidding. We have Called By the Grave. Nice try though, dog. So we're going to add back our Tragedy from our graveyard to our hand. Now we can resolve our Branded in red secondary effect, which is fusing from our hand and field. We're going to fuse our Tragedy, our Ad Libitum, and our Mirror Jade the Ice Blade Tongue Twister Dragon. They do get banished, so we're going to put all these over here. This is going to summon our Guardian Chimera, and man, oh man, do we have a ton of chain links. We will go chain link 1, our Guardian Chimera, chain link 2, Ad Libitum to target our Mirror Jade, chain link 3, our Tragedy, can add a Luber from our deck to our hand. Ad Libitum will special summon our Mirror Jade, and because this has left the field, you can now reactivate this to banish a card and then send from your extra deck to the graveyard, and then our Guardian Chimera will resolve, popping 1 card on the field and drawing us 2 additional cards. So as we said, it doesn't look like you do an absolute ton, but you have a DPE pop, you've popped a card with this, you've drawn a ton of extension for next turn, you have the Mirror Jade to banish a card on the field, non-targeting.
And you probably use this Called By the Grave at some point, so I'm just gonna put them over there.
Called By is pretty good. And then when you do activate and resolve the Mirror Jade, you have a ton of options. You can either dump a second copy of Albion to set another Branded spell trap card, or you can send the Titaniclad if you want to special summon your Fallen of Albaz. It really does just depend on the board state and what kind of game state you are facing. You have your Fallen of Albaz, your Tragedy, and your Aluber, plus you have Right for your follow-up. I don't think there's a way you lose this game here.
I hope you guys enjoyed this combo. This is just how we like to show you guys what the decks do. Make sure you let us know if you enjoy seeing these combo tutorials. We like to really try and make things accessible to everybody, so make sure you let us know because it helps us help you. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. We love you, you matter, and we will see you guys on stream tonight. Links in the description box down below. Bye, team!